Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is a beautiful October morning here in Southwest Florida. And I need to share some more blooms with you. These are all repeat bloomers. And as I sat down, I'm kind of looking over on my pergola and I'm seeing another one that I should have brought down, but I got no room left on my table. So we're going to focus on these plants here. These are all repeat bloomers. There are some of my favorites in here, along with some that are not my favorites. And the ones that aren't my favorites, I'm not sure really what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll give a couple of them a little bit more of a chance to become my favorite. But right now, for reasons I'll explain to you, I'm not super delighted with them. But I do have some of my favorites here as well, and some may surprise you. So what I want to, and they're packed on the table here pretty tightly. So I may have to move, kind of slow to pick them out. But let's go through them and look at things. And the other thing is that I am getting fragrance. I'm getting a lot of fragrance. And it's even a windy day, and I think the wind's blowing that way. So I'm surprised. I guess when there's a lull, I'm getting fragrance of some of these, which is, again, one of the reasons that I grow these things. Intense fragrance on a few of these that I'm aware of. But what I want to start out with is, and if I can get it out of here, I'm going to try, might not be able to. Oh, if I can get it out, I'm probably going to have a really struggle getting it back. I could see they're getting hung up on each other. Okay, so, yow. All right, so let's start with the one that's in my right hand. And I don't think I'm going to be able to put this back where it came from, but luckily I got other options. All right, this is Dendrobium Ukulele Baby. And I've had this, I got this from Sundance Orchid and Bromeliads in Fort Myers. When I got this plant, just the parents were listed on the tag. It hadn't been named. So it has recently been named Ukulele Baby. This is a plant, I don't know, so when I hold this thing upright, this is one of the many cascading dendrobiums where it just puts out not a huge cane, but the flower spike on this new cane right here is just really long, and it droops, and it droops pretty nicely. This right now has three on a relatively small plant. This has three flower spikes, two on the new cane and one on an older cane. It's not that large of a plant, and when I was looking at it the other day, one of the canes I noticed was cracked, so I actually just took it off. I'm laying it in the pot here, and I want to see if it grows any new keikis. It might not. But this is a nice dendrobium, smaller flowers. There's a little bit of twisting in the sepals on this. It has some nice, the petals, the petals are green or yellow-green. The lip is a really nice purple color, and the flowers themselves, they're small, but they're pretty striking. There's no fragrance on this plant, and it has been a modestly vigorous grower, not great, but not too small either. It's flowered for me pretty regularly, and it is a nice plant. I've tried using this because I do like the flower so much. I've tried using this in my crosses, and unfortunately those crosses have not worked. So this might be a triploid plant. There may be some issues with this. I've tried crossing it repeatedly because, like I said, it does flower a lot. I've tried crossing it repeatedly onto some of my other dendrobiums, which have been receptive to pollination, and those have not generated any capsules. So there may be some issues with that. I like the plant. It's, you know, it's nice. It grows well for me, but I'm a little disappointed that I can't get any pollinations from it. When I have nice flowers, I usually like to use them in my crosses, and I really do like the flowers on this plant, but I think this is it's a dead end. I'm going to keep on growing the plant. It's in a pretty small pot. And I think it can stay in the pot a little bit longer. And like I said, I like the flowers, but I'm not sure it's going too much farther for me. So again, this is Dendrobium Ukulele Baby. All right, I'm going to try to put this up here because it's not going back on this table because I had a hard enough time getting it out. Okay, moving on just a little bit. And where are we going to go? I think we're going to go to the front of the table here. So the only way I can, because I got, this is another small, small cattleya. And this is CTT, I think it's Cattleya Lily Genovese. And this is also, I've had this plant for a few years. I got this a few years ago, I think at a bingo event in my society. So I think a few other people got this same plant. And it is in a combination of lava stone and leca. This has bloomed, again, this has bloomed repeatedly for me. This is not a really vigorous grower. And the flowers on this plant are pretty much not exciting. This is I think it is a primary, oh man, the tag is, it's a primary hybrid, oh no, it's not a primary hybrid, but it is a hybrid between it says a Cattleya Walker Inter and a Cattleya Beringiana. So it's not I think it is I think there's 3 species that are mixed in this hybrid. No fragrance, which is a disappointment. Small flower, which is a disappointment. And just the flower itself, it's just, it's pretty plain to me in the orchid world. So this is something, you know, I have it. The nicest thing about this is that it is a consistent bloomer, but because it's not a vigorous grower, it's in a small pot, and it's growing over the edge of the pot a little bit on the side, but it's just not a really vigorous grower that I would expect and that I would hope for when you've got a mix of just a few different species in here. This is a plant, again, that I have that's okay, but it's certainly not one of my favorite plants. So again, this is CTT, which I think is Cattleya Lily Genovese. I'm going to move on because it is definitely not one of my favorite Cattleyas. You know, it's okay, but not a favorite. Okay, moving on to this guy right here. So this is, again, I keep on going on with more plants that are not my favorites because we're going to get to my favorites pretty soon. So this is Siam Fancy Wings of Fire. And I've shared this with you recently because this thing is just blooming like crazy. So when I shared it with you a few months ago, I don't want to knock anything else over. When I shared this plant with you a few months ago, it was also blooming, and it was blooming pretty nicely. This is a good, vigorous grower. And when I sit here and take a look at this plant, the fragrance is just wonderful. So this has what I call a classic Cattleya fragrance, maybe a little powdery. Yeah, I guess that's it. Maybe a powdery Cattleya type fragrance. It is growing over the side of the pot. So it's growing this way. You know, this side of the pot, there's a little bit new growth, but this side of the pot is empty. This side of the pot over where towards me It's got a lot of new growth, and it's growing over the edge. I have this hanging in my pergola, and when it hangs in my pergola, it's hanging like this because this is where the weight is. And luckily, the pot and the hanger can handle it. But this is a real, I mean, I'm struggling to hold this upright. This is a really heavy plant. I might actually try to put it in a clay pot and stabilize it, but it really tends to lean in this one direction. And because I have to see, I'm not really sure if this is the flowers themselves they're nice. So this is a flared cattleya, and that's what drew me to this plant when I purchased it. And I think, where'd this come from? I think this might have come from, RF Orchids in Homestead, Florida. But what drew me is the flower itself, because it's, it's striking. So the sepals are bright yellow, the petals are yellow with red flare, and the lip on this is also kind of a dark reddish to purple coloration. So that drew me to it. The flowers, I'm a little disappointed because the flowers are a little small. I'm also not really, I don't like that it just tends to kind of spread out. It's a wanderer. So it's growing over in this one direction. It's my pergola, it gets light from all different directions, unlike the things on my fence that get light only from one direction. This gets light from all different directions, but it's tending to kind of spread out and wander in one direction only. So I'm gonna see if I can control this and train this a little better. After this is done flowering this time, I need to divide it, definitely, because it's getting kind of big for this pot. But the other thing is I want to put it in a pot and see whether I can get more controlled growth. Some of the other cattleyas, like what we'll get to in a minute, these have more central growth where they just kind of grow up and out a little bit. This thing is tending to grow kind of directionally towards me the way I have this pot placed. The nice thing about this is the fragrance. The flowers are striking, a little bit small, and this is incredibly prolific. So right now, it has 3 old flower spikes on it. So it bloomed a few months ago, but then when it was blooming, I noted that there were some additional spikes coming out in sheath on this plant, and those are now erupting. So I have 3 sheaths where the flowers are open, and there's 2 to 4 flowers per sheath, which is nice. But then there's a 4th one right here where the flowers are not open, and that'll be opening soon. So it is a real vigorous grower, which I like. Fragrance is good. And I didn't realize, it's funny. So it's in my pergola, and on the other side of my pergola is the pool and the pool cage. I could smell this thing from inside the pool cage. So it's got a lot of flowers open, but this puts out a lot of fragrance. So it's really nice. A good vigorous grower, good fragrance, striking flowers, but they're a little small, and I don't really like them meandering too much. But I'm going to give this another chance to see what happens with this. All right, so anyway, this is Siam Fancy, and I should mention the cultivar on this is Wings of Fire. And this is going to be challenging to get back in here without knocking anything over. And okay, yikes. All right, I think it's stable. I think I got it. Okay, so let's move on. This is going on a little bit too long. This orchid right here that's beside me, I'm not going to pick up. So right here, I hope you can see it. I'll get some close-up video of the flower itself, but this is clearly one of my favorites, and this is Odom's Grand Delight. Odom's Grand Delight is in a huge pot, and this is one of the orchids that I just love so much. I tried growing it in this big pot, and then what's happened with it is it started out good, it's spread out through there, and I guess because the pot's so big, I was having problems with aeration, so I actually repotted it, changed it up a little bit, broke off a few pieces. So now I have more of this plant, and I'm seeing how well if it's going to readjust to this pot now that I made the mix more area. I put more big chunks of lava rock in here, and so we'll see how this goes. And it's doing okay. This is a nice vigorous orchid. Robert Strait is in the background, so it's a flared, this is a seedling, and when I got this plant from Odom's Orchids, it's Odom's Grandolite. When I got the seedling from Odom's Grandolite, it wasn't named, but now it has since been named. I use this in a lot of my crosses, and I just love this flower. It's a good vigorous plant, multiple blooms per year. It's always blooming. There's a bloom spike here that just finished up maybe a month ago. It's got this coming out. There was a second flower on this bloom spike that blasted, but now I have multiple plants of this, so I'm pretty excited to that. And we'll see how the different plants do. So far, they're doing pretty well. I got one I'm looking at that's right there that's growing beautifully. Another one behind me, another one behind you. And so the divisions of this plant seem to be doing really, really well. There is beautiful. It's a classic Cattleya fragrance, but maybe it has a little bit of a woodsy or earthy fragrance associated with it. So I really love the fragrance of this. The markings on it is striking. There's some flares in both the sepals and petals. The lip is very dark purple. It's so intense dark purple. The only thing I've seen in some of the other Odom's Grandolite seedlings is there's a little bit of yellow in the throat of some of the other seedlings, and this one didn't get this, but I still like this plant, and I've used it in a lot of different crosses. And that's what happens when I really like an orchid. And when it checks all the boxes of what I like, I use it in my crosses. So nice plant, seems to be, again, compatible. I can cross it without any issues. And Odom's Grandolite here, one of my favorite, and I've shared this with you quite a few times. And I'll probably keep on sharing with you. If it keeps on blooming for me, which I think it will, I'll keep on sharing it with you. So again, Odom's Grandolite. Okay, let's move on just a little bit. And this also, when I bought this plant and I picked this up from Saroa Orchids, also in Homestead, Florida. And when I got this plant a few years ago, the label just listed the parents. It didn't have the actual name of this plant on the tag. But this is Memoria Buranapan Nikom. And the breeder on this is, as you might imagine, it is in Buranapan. So I don't know the country of origin of the breeder on this. I have another seedling of Buranapan Nikom behind me, and it hasn't bloomed in a while, but this one blooms a lot. So I just actually pulled a bloom spike off of this plant, and I have another sheath right here that I can feel that has flowers in it. This is a really nice multicolored Cattleya. The parent of this, one of the parents of this is Haidai Delight, which is the parent of a lot of different orchids that have some really striking coloration. And surprising thing, it is a yellow. Haidai Delight is mostly yellow, and this has some yellow in it, but it also has some pink. And what's nice is that there appears to be some pink in the petals and sepals, but then the lip is purple with some yellow coloration in the throat and in certain other parts of the lip. So this is a really nice, striking flower. Vigorous plant, blooms for me a lot. Small pot. It's actually in the original pot that when I bought it from Saroa. And so this is going to have to probably be repotted soon, because I actually have it a pot in a pot, which I don't like to do, plastic pots. So I got to spread this out. And there's new growth growing. There's new growth coming out from this side of the plant and this side of the plant. So it's bidirectionally growing, which is, again, what I like and I don't have right here. So fragrance, this is just a no descriptors other than classical Cattleya fragrance. So a nice, sweet, classical Cattleya fragrance associated with this flower. Striking flower, big size, much bigger than this, about the same size or maybe a little smaller than this, but just a nice Cattleya. Again, so this is Memoria Buranapan Nikom here. All right, let's go on. Let's move on, which is maybe this might be a surprise to you, to one of my other favorite plants, and that is this little rat of a plant right here. So this is a surprising favorite for me. And this is a plant that was gifted to me by Jim. And I think he probably gave it to me because he doesn't like these ratty little plants. But, and I got it from him and it's like, ugh, thanks, Jim. But then I started growing it and I put it in a place in my garden. And this thing, this is, I should say that this is Brassavola Myakka Stars. And this is a cross between two Brassavola species. It was made by Jim Roberts. And I got this thing, and I mean, look at this ratty little plant. But this thing is such a vigorous grower. It's kind of falling out of the pot a little bit. I have it in leca. It's dry, and it just kind of meanders a little bit and grows. But right now there are there's 6 flowers on 3 bloom spikes. It just finished blooming up a short time ago. As I look down here, I see a bunch of new pseudobulbs growing out of this plant. They're small, and it's hard to see the flowers when they come out of it, because this is a ratty little plant, but so vigorous. Fragrance, not now, but fragrance at night. So I came out here at night and I could smell some fragrance. This is a classical Brassavola flower, star-shaped flower, little, tiny thing with, it's not really anything special. But what I like about it is that this is it's such a vigorous grower, and it can handle, I think, growing under really some pretty dry conditions. I got this at the edge of my pergola. It gets a lot of light, and maybe that's what helps with the blooms on this. But again, I've got a lot of spent bloom spikes on here. I've got a lot of new pseudobulbs growing out of it, and I got a lot of flowers on it. So that, again, it blooms multiple times a year. Okay, what else do I like about this? Well, this is compatible. This is it's a Brassavola, and as you might imagine, it's compatible with a number of these different large Cattleyas. So, and it's incredibly compatible with these things. So I've crossed my Myakka Stars with Odom's Grand Delight. And I've got some really vigor, as you might imagine. This is Brassocatleya Rooty Tooty. And I didn't get a lot of seeds, but the seeds that I got from them were really vigorous. So I'm excited, and the plants are getting, I don't think I have any around me right now, but the plants are vigorous, they're growing well, and they're already almost bigger than this parent. And I'm excited to see what I get out of that. I didn't get that many seeds, so I haven't distributed those plants widely, but the few people that I've shared the plants with, they're growing really well for them. I've also crossed this with Buranapan Nikom successfully. And so these are still in the laboratory, they're still in the flasks, but I'm excited about that. And so I've got a lot more, and so what happened, you've got this little tiny plant that can support, from crossing with these huge Cattleyas, that can support the capsule that grows on the plant and that take it to maturity. And again, I don't get a lot of seed, but I get enough. And that to me is exciting. So I've got a plant that I wouldn't, if I were just to see this, you know, growing somewhere, I wouldn't even probably notice it, but because it was gifted to me and because I pay attention, because my collection is small, I pay attention to all my plants, I really have noticed this plant. It kind of shouts out to me and says, "Hey, look at me. I'm a little scrawny, but I'm strong." And so I've used it in my crosses. It does well. The progeny from this have done well, and I'm really happy with Brassavola Myakka Stars. I don't know if you can get this plant anymore. I don't know if you're going to want this plant because of how it grows. It's just not showy, but I'm hoping that the progeny that I get from this are going to be vigorous, are going to be showy, are going to be fragrant. I'm hoping they're going to be everything that I'm looking for in my orchids. Okay, so that's the last one that I have is Brassavola Myakka Stars, a good, vigorous grower for me. I've got so many more plants coming. I'm looking up here. There's one that I missed. I've got many more plants in spike, and I'll try to bring those to you and explain to you a little bit of the background behind those plants. Lots of stuff going on. It's an exciting time to be here. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.